Steve Cortica coming at you with a massive reed test. At this point, I've experienced so many highs and lows with reeds that I have really no hidden agenda here. I'm just really trying to get good information out there and explain what reed companies and reeds I think are working and why they're working. Here you have my Christmas collection of reeds that I acquired over the last month. My testing process with all 16 different cuts across the brands was to take 2 reeds out of the box and then choose the one that played better and rank them on a consistency basis of how different the 2 reeds were and rank them on the quality and like richness and brilliance of the tone that I was getting. I'm just going to go brand by brand. So the first brand that I want to talk about is Boston Sax Shop. Let's check out a playtest of me just running a minor scale up 3 octaves and back down, and then playing a little snippet of an etude so you can get a feel for the difference in what these cuts sound like. So yeah, Blue Label was pretty crushing. A darker reed, definitely a little bit harder than the other 3 cuts, but super happy with this one. And also worth mentioning, all 4 of these cuts and all the Boston Sax Shop reeds come out of the Rigotti cane fields. That's actually super important. Now I'll mention why a little bit later, but overall I found by far the highest consistency in all the Rigotti products. The next ones were the Red Label. This is the newest cut that he has made to date, and these were awesome. They have a really cool like just brightness to them. None of the other reeds have. I think he advertises that they have a thinner tip than the other cuts that he's made, and you can hear it in the sound. The Altissimo is maybe sacrificed a little bit compared to the other cuts, but still there's like a nice core to it. The thing I love again about the Rigotti in general, but all the Boston Sax reeds, is that they can be altered in a lot of different directions. The Silver cut was the second one that came out of Boston Sax, and I think this was #1 in the playtest actually, and it just had a really, really brilliant sound to it and played with a little bit more of a brilliant tone than the Black Box did. Still had that great flexibility and had that great resistance for playing in the Altissimo, which is something that I love to do. And then the classic Black Box. Next brand I'm going to talk about is Vandoren. I just reviewed the reeds that I liked the most. I know that V16s and blue boxes are also very popular cuts, but the 4 cuts of Vandoren I reviewed were Juno, Java Red, Java Green, and ZZ. Let's check out what these sound like. start with the Juno. I actually like these reeds because they have a certain type of resistance to them that help me hit altissimo notes. I don't know why. I mean, it's supposed to be a student cut. Across the Vandoren line, I did feel like those reeds break down quicker. But again, this makes me curious if I took better care of my reeds, maybe Vandorens would last just as long as any other brand that I've played on. So yeah, the Juno cuts, if you get them and then they're not playing exactly the way that you want them to, if you work on these reeds, they can be really good. And what I like about these is they're a little bit cheaper than your typical box of reeds, and they're still pretty high quality. My favorite cut overall was the ZZ cut. There's a really brilliant sound that you can get out of like a really good ZZ. I don't know exactly what the shaping of the cut is, but what was awesome for me is that they do have a really nice resistance to them, but they also have a brilliance. So it's almost like they do have a thicker tip, but maybe like a thinner heart that allows you to push the reed and still get a fat sound in the upper register. These red and greens and these specific boxes sounded and felt almost exactly the same. One of the things I will say is that if you don't really play a ton of altissimo and don't care about playing altissimo notes, you probably will love these reeds. Overall, I think the heart and the tip are both too thin for me to get a good consistency and flexibility in the altissimo register. The difference between these two is that the red is filed, the green is unfiled. But again, in this playtest, I really did not notice any difference at all. Next, I tried Rigotti and SYOS arcane reeds. Let's check out what these two reeds sound like. Made in France, super high quality. I loved the way that these reeds felt. Actually, the Rigotti that I played in the playtest, a friend gave to me. I wasn't able to get my hands on a box of tenor reeds, but even just this one reed played really great, and it was just the first one that my friend took out of the box. So on consistency, I didn't have anything to cross-reference it with, but the reed played great, so I gave it a good review. It had a really nice brilliance to it, similar to the Boston Sax silver label or red label and the Vandoren ZZ. When you get a good one of those, had a very similar vibe to that. These SYOS arcane reeds are also made in the Rigotti fields, and they sound awesome. I really liked, again, the consistency and the response and the vibrance. I had a good overall feeling with the consistency between the two reeds that I tried, as well as the sound I was getting. Next brand I checked out was Diodario, formerly Rico. Let's check out what these three sounded like. Rico was my brand that I used before I started playing on Vandorens. I found pretty great consistency with them overall. This is something that you haven't tried or something that you kind of stayed away from because you thought they were like reeds for students. Definitely worth checking out. Again, I think the price point is pretty solid on these. Probably going to get a few good reads out of every box you buy. I just like the sound and the overall response that I get of this particular cut. These I was super disappointed with. Diodario Reserves as well as the Diodario Select Jazz. The Reserves had like a woodiness to them. They reminded me a little bit of like bad Vandoren Junos. There was a certain like deadness to them, and they didn't respond in any kind of vibrant way. The tone that I was getting, I felt like was good, but the resistance and the stuffiness and the pushback that I was getting did not feel good. And the sense that I got from the two that I tried was that playing a night of music on these reeds would probably be pretty tiring and frustrating. The Select Jazz I found to be a lot like the Vandoren Javas, I guess, but they were even softer, and I did feel like there was a good like bass level tone that happens right away, but the altissimo was very hard for me to get control over and just was not consistent. And again, a certain type of stuffiness, the type of stuffiness where the reed actually feels too soft. And again, it just doesn't feel like you're getting an overall vibration. You can have the illusion of a good sound, but you don't really get a good feeling about the sound that you're getting. And in my search, I came across two really unknown brands. There's Eastrock and Soovid, definitely saying that wrong. And then Bettersax, I believe these were made by Marca. Let's check out what all three of these sound like. These are like $17 for 10 reeds, so $1.70 a reed. Insanely cheap, like 1980s prices of reeds. And these were less expensive. They also have a jazz cut of these. Both of these reeds, they kind of felt the same. They had like this ridiculous stuffiness to them that isn't something that I would want to perform on, but maybe they're good to practice on. These actually had a little bit of more vibrancy to them than these did. These are labeled as traditional, which probably means they're classical reeds, but still, I think even a good classical reed should still have like a vibrancy to it if it has a good heart inside of the reed, but something just felt off about both of these. The value though on these I'm still going to experiment with, because I really did only try 2 reeds of each of these, so I'm curious if I tried balancing them or if I just went through the whole box and tried to find a good one, that maybe there would be a couple good ones in there. I don't know. And then Bettersax, I tried these reeds. I thought they were going to play way better than they did. I believe these were made by Marca. I was actually endorsed by Marca for a little while, and I could not understand their labeling process for the reeds. They had like so many different cuts, and they all felt the same, but they all were like super stuffy and super inconsistent. The 2 that I tried just play like Marca reeds with a different label on the box. It's kind of surprising. Next, I wanted to include a short play test of me just playing each reed in the order that I found them to be right out of the box. I'm going to go from 16 all the way up to number 1 in order of how I would recommend them based on what I found their consistency to be and the sound and the feel that I was getting from playing. I'll be playing an etude that I wrote over the chord progression to Rigotti, and I'll be cutting to a different reed every 4 bars, and hopefully you'll be able to hear the sound get better and better as the etude progresses. I lost my mind and about $500 making this video. It was worth it. It was something that I needed to do. Hopefully you got some valuable information. Check out the links in the description below if there's anything you found useful. That's it for now. Thanks so much for checking this video out. Wishing you sanity and vibrancy when you are getting your next box of reeds.